This episode of Walt Disney World Today is sponsored by MEI and MouseFan Travel. MEI and MouseFan Travel is an authorized Disney vacation planner, specializing in cruises and packages to Disney and other vacation destinations around the world. They provide signature service with no agency fees. Get a no-obligation quote at www.mousefantravel.com. This is Walt Disney World Today. Give us 5 minutes and we'll give you the world.
It's Wednesday, October 24th, 2007, and this is episode 326 of Walt Disney World Today. I'm Matt Hochberg from StudioCentral.com. On the show today, we have Len Testa, co-author of The Unofficial Guide to Walt Disney World. Welcome, Len.
How's it going, Matt?
Outstanding, Len. And the next person in the panel, we're going to need his expertise in all questions. It's Mike Newell of Mouse World Radio. Welcome, Mike.
I was thinking of calling in sick today.
Also on the show today is Mike Scopa of MousePlanet.com and All Ears Net. Welcome, Mike.
This is my dream.
Vicky in Fantasmic.
That's right.
And it's Wednesday. We're answering listener questions. And the first question comes from Van of the Netcot.com podcast, who writes, "Hey guys, I've been listening to your show ever since someone on my site told me about your interview with Stacy, the host of the In-Room Top 7 Must-See Shows at the Walt Disney World Resorts. She seemed pretty cool, and it suddenly made me feel that I picked on her a bit in the video podcast parody I did a while back. I'll put a link in the show notes to that. Since you guys release a bunch of new shows each week, I haven't had a chance to go back through my entire history of Walt Disney World today. I'm wondering if you can take a moment to bring some of us relative newbies up to speed on a few of the inside jokes. So the first question is for Len. Where are the Scopa Towers?
Scopa Towers are Disney's Pop Century resort, and it became Scopa Towers when Mike stayed there. I think it was 2005. He stayed there like a month. And that's where it came from. I started calling it Scopa Towers and if you want to get even more particular, you'll know that there's really no towers there, right? Anyway.
Yeah. And we, of course, made all of our listeners in the beginning of the show refer to it as Scopa Towers and not Pop Century.
Right.
Right. And to ask for it by name when you're booking it. Newell, where did the ding come from each time someone pimps out the unofficial guide?
It came from Len. Every time he started saying the unofficial guide,
Now I do it just for fun.
You know, now I do it when I'm talking to people. I'll say, hey, my friend writes for the unofficial guide ding, and
exactly.
And they're like, what?
And what's the joke about Narcoosseous?
Nobody wants to answer.
Nobody wants to answer it? I'll answer.
Okay, go ahead.
I'll answer. So basically, the joke about Narcoosseous was someone emailed us and asked us about Narcoosseous and said, kind of made like some joke that it was a wife swapping club, and Len kind of went along with the joke in the email and said that it is in fact that. And meanwhile, Scopa wasn't listening to anything we were saying, which is very much what he does most of the shows. And he said he was looking up information and he says, "Oh, it's 2 dining service credits," as if like you need more than one for the wife swapping.
I believe the show was talking about
It was a question. It was a question show, and somebody had said that we needed to give Narcoosseous a try because it had a good 30-something vibe to it. So so I started looking up the unofficial guide description of it, and when I did, I started winging it, and then I said stuff like, "Don't let the 30," and I was just riffing. Don't let the 30-something guide vibe fool you. It's really a wife swapping club at night. And as soon as I said that, Scopa ended with he was rambling on in the background about something about the
two-table service or something like that.
He ended with, and that's 2 table service credits. And I thought he meant that wife swapping was 2 table service credits.
And then the laughing jag started.
And then that's where. And then we start with the jokes like, honey, what do you mean we have reservations for 3 straight nights at the same restaurant? What's going on?
Next email is from Melanie from Tennessee, who writes, "Hey guys, this is Melanie from Tennessee, and I adore the show. Anyway, I was wondering if you guys could consider yourselves the Dear Abby for relationship problems that come from Walt Disney World. Maybe you can help me. Dear, fill in the most adequate psychiatric of the 4 of you. Who do you think that is?"
Scopa? Yeah, I would say Scopa.
Scopa. All right. Well, Dear Scopa.
Means they don't want to answer this.
My family goes to Disney about 3 times a year, and I generally bring a friend 2 of those times. I'm slightly obsessed with Disney and cram everything in that I can. This includes being the first to ride a ride in the morning and one of the last to leave the parks. Generally, my friends are happily do everything with me and have the time of their lives. This trip, however, took a turn for the worse. That friend I brought declared we were leaving early every night. Didn't ask to leave early. No, she informed me we were leaving early. This annoyed me greatly, but after I got agitated, my parents told me I had to go do what the guest wanted to do. We didn't get along the rest of the trip. I gave the silent treatment. She cried. I begged her to stay at least till 9 p.m. She refused, etc. Well, I thought things were better the next few weeks. Apparently not. It's been 8 weeks since our trip, and yesterday she told me our relationship was toxic because of our little skirmish in Disney, and she wants to distance herself. Alas, we are no longer friends. Any advice? Similar situation stories? Sincerely, Disaster from Disney.
Not since high school.
Say. I guess the question would be, was there any... Oh, my God, this could be really deep. Was there any indication that there was an aversion to Disney from this friend prior to the trip? If so, there was a sign that was missed. My thought is that if you're going on a trip to Florida and you know that you're going there, you should be aware that there were going to be times when you're going to be, dealing with late hours and things like that. Matt, did the email say this was the second time they had gone together?
I believe so. She went on like a long trip. I don't know. I think it was just they went like on a long trip together, and then she thought later on it was okay, but they didn't get along after that one trip.
Well, I think that
dump the dead weight and move on to a new friend. That's what I'm saying.
Wow.
Well, I don't know about that, but I would. There's got to be some. There's got to be some common denominator between the two of them that made them friends in the first place. They just need to find that, and I think that as they move on, they have to realize that one likes Disney and one doesn't like Disney, and
it really is the great circle of life.
It is.
Next email is from Mike from Massachusetts. All right, hey guys, kind of a time-sensitive question given the proximity of dates, but my family typically visits the world in early November and have always encountered very light crowds at the time of the year. This year, we are visiting the Contemporary Resort from November 28th through December 5th. The guide shows that these dates are fairly quiet, 4s, 5s, and 6s as far as crowds. But I recently called the resort to both extend our stay and upgrade our rooms, and we were told that the resort was sold out. Given the time of year, I was surprised, but now I'm hearing that Pop Warner is in town as well as a few other things that are happening that may have an impact on the crowds. We chose the dates to avoid the crowds, but it seems that strategy may have backfired. You guys are the experts. Did I make a mistake in picking that week to go? Thanks for a great show. I'm an avid listener.
No, I think
November 28th, December 5th.
No, it should be fine. Pop Warner is only getting started towards the end of the week, but even then they're going to be so busy doing stuff that I don't think it's that much of an issue. We talked about this a couple other times in the show, but I've actually spoken with the media rep for Pop Warner, who's a former Disney cast member who used to work at the Wilderness Lodge, and I asked him that specific question, like what impact does Pop Warner have on Disney crowds, and he said, it's nothing. So I would expect that he would know.
Plus, the impact of Pop Warner, really, you can't feel it as much in the Contemporary as you do at like All Star or Pop, right, Len?
Right.
Next email is from Steven, who writes, hi, folks. I just wanted to tell you all about how much your podcast helped my wife and I plan our most recent anniversary trip to Walt Disney World in July. We were longtime Disney fans from Massachusetts with a healthy addiction to the mouse and always looking for hints and tips on how to best use our time down south. Scopa's information on Pop Century was right on. We loved every part of the resort. By calling a few days before, thanks, Len, we asked our cast member for a non-preferred room in the 60s facing Hourglass Lake with a king bed in a handicapped-accessible room. We had several moments of Disney magic bestowed upon us as well. At check-in, the cast member noticed it was our anniversary and wished us a magical stay. He handed us pins so that we could let everyone know about our special day. We decided to take a quick look around the gift shop. My wife went over to the counter to buy something. I heard her get very excited and call me over. She received a phone call from Mickey himself. The cast member, who noticed her pin, said, "Oh, I'm so glad to see you. Wait right here. There's a phone call for you." She handed her the phone and let her listen to a special message. She was thrilled. I also wanted to thank Matt for the heads up about the trivia board at SIDS at MGM. We were able to answer all 5 questions, and we received a certificate, and were asked to sign a winner's autograph book. We had a blast. Thanks for the help.
Awesome. Oh, very good.
Such is the magic of Scopa's talents.
There you go. Next email is from Eric Beaulieu of Stores, Connecticut, who writes, hello, Matt, Mike, and Len. First off, I love the podcast. It reminds me of how my family interacts with one another when we are all together. I think that's a good thing.
All the smack talking and whatnot.
Secondly, I hope you read this before we leave for our trip. Well, hopefully Eric will help someone else with their question. Here's my question. I'm traveling the world with my wife and 2 sons, ages 1 and 4, for our 4th trip, and my parents, ages 60 and 66, for their first trip soon. I'm wondering if you guys have any suggestions on what C's my parents should do during our trip. My father has multiple back surgeries, so thrill rides are pretty much out of the question. I've pointed out things like the Hall of Presidents and Carousel of Progress in the Magic Kingdom, Adventures at Epcot, Kilimanjaro Safari, Festival of the Lion King and Animal Kingdom, and Fantasmic at the studios. Any help would be great. I love the podcast. Keep up the great work.
Well, we could go park by park. I think One Man's Dream would be good for him. That's a nice little, you take your time. You don't have to rush. You've got a nice, comfortable chair to watch the movie, so that would be number 1. What about Muppets? I guess I'm sticking with the studios. The Muppets would be another, Muppet Vision 3D would be another possibility.
You know what? What would work? I mean, a couple of points I would make. One is if his back's bothering him, definitely get a wheelchair or an ECV.
Right.
Because walking all day is not going to help his back at all. Second thing is why don't you look at touring plans or advice for senior citizens? That might help. Because that'll list all the rides that you can't, that don't jerk or bump or spin you upside down like a cat in a blender.
I think also what you want to do, Len, is focus on anything that you can do as a whole group. You don't want to make anybody feel like they're the second-class citizens of the group, and it's like, you want to be inclusive with everything, and obviously that means you're not going to be riding Tower of Terror all as a family, but, you can do, like, your meals. You could have your meals at places like Prime Time or Whispering Canyon, where you're going to have that kind of interaction between, everybody over there, and the whole family can really partake in it. Or, rides like Soarin', which allow you to really, That's
right. Yeah, Soarin's actually a ride. Yeah, so it's a big ride and everything, but it's not too intense for senior citizens. Definitely a good choice there. Yeah, I think so. I think that's good advice. Oh, make sure you do sit down meals too, because you get a little bit more time to relax, I think.
That's a good point. You don't want to, it's harder for the older folks to stay on their feet as long, and keep going all that time. So an hour off your feet just sitting down at a meal can make a difference. And as Scopa would say, a lot of fiber in their diet always helps.
and if you don't have access to the touring plans for seniors, just read one of my trip reports.
Pretty much do what Mike does.
Yeah.
Next
email's energetic in comparison. Yeah. Mike's touring plans often begin with "get off the ark" and.
Jamie from Illinois writes, "Hi, my name is Jamie and I'm from Illinois. Great show. My husband and I listen to it all the time. In a previous podcast, you were discussing how much to tip a server at a buffet versus a table service. As a previous waitress of 13 years at a local restaurant, I can say that I worked harder and visited the table more times during a holiday buffet than during a normal sit-down meal. I just feel the service should be tipped according to how well the service was, not on whether or not it was a buffet. Of course, this also makes me much more of a strict tipper as well. Wait service, minimal pay is always less because it is assumed the tips will make up the rest. Just something to think about." It's interesting, Scopa. If you remember, you and I ate at Chef Mickey's. Chef Mickey's. And I don't know about you, but I thought the server did terribly. I think if she was new, but I really was not. I did not tip her as much as I normally tip because I really thought she did a bad job.
Yeah, she was kind of lazy. I mean, it was busy, but still.
She was kind of lazy.
No, she was kind of lazy. She just, she was inept. She would forget things. She,
Yeah.
one of the things I do when I go to breakfast is I always order tomato juice, which doesn't come in, they don't, give you pictures of it like they do orange juice. And most servers are very good about it. They'll, I ask them for one, they bring me one, and then when mine gets kind of empty, they slide me another one after, asking 2 times or so. But she was just like, it was like pulling teeth to get anything out of the back. And I remember your wife, Scopa, wanted, I forgot what she wanted. She wanted something.
She wanted crispy bacon, I think.
And that was like a military operation was easier to pull off.
Oh, yeah. Not to mention getting juice. It was taking forever to get juice refills.
Yeah.
You sure it wasn't the same waitress from Waffle House in Pennsylvania?
Oh, man. I mean, that's the thing.
That's the problem.
Yeah, on a buffet, I mean, obviously, you want your dirty dishes taken away, but you're depending upon your server to, replenish your drinks and stuff. And I think that's very important to me. I mean, I want to make sure that, I have my drink and I don't have to wait for it and wait for it and wait for it. The best ones are when you order, let's say you're ordering an iced tea and they bring 2 glasses. for you. I mean, that's either they're real smart or they're real busy and they're figuring they just want to make one trip and then they don't have to worry about it. But
either way, it's fine. It works, you know?
I like it. It's fine with me, as long as it's ice.
Next email is from Scott, who writes, "It was about 5 years ago, and I was taking the Keys of the Kingdom tour. We were in the Utilidors when our tour guide stopped, turned around, and sternly told us that we were about to see two characters out of costume, and we should help them keep their character integrity. When we walked past what seemed to be Tigger and Eeyore from the neck down, were two teenagers, one male, one female, from the neck up. They looked as if they had just played a one-on-one full-court basketball game. Sweat was pouring off their faces, and they were panting. They did not smile as we passed. They looked nervous.
They're playing basketball, all right.
As if we caught them doing something wrong. We all felt really bad for them as they were sailing, waiting for another ship to start. I do have a question. I'm considering going on the Wild by Design tour of the Animal Kingdom. Have any of you ever been on this tour? I'm interested in the small details of the parks and wondering if it's worth the money." Wild by Design. Has anyone ever taken this tour? Heard about it?
No.
I never even heard of it. Wild by Design tour at the Animal Kingdom. I mean, generally speaking, have any of you even heard of any tours that aren't worth the money?
No, I think they all get generally good review.
Yeah, I mean, generally, the only knock on any of the tours is that some of them are longer than others, and you have to, devote a fair amount of time to them. Yeah, but I mean, other than that, there's nothing wrong with it. So if you can squeeze the time, I say why not? Nothing wrong with that. Next email's from Matt from Louisville, Kentucky, who writes, "I was just wondering how busy Labor Day weekend is at Walt Disney World."
Not busy at all. It's all the kids in the southeastern United States are back in school, and anyone who wanted to blow that kind of money on a Disney vacation would have done so during summer vacation, or they're going to wait until November or December during Thanksgiving or Christmas, when they can amortize the cost of the vacation over a longer period. So it's not busy at all. I mean, it's like 4s and 5s on the crowd calendar.
Next email is from John Haskins, who writes, "Hi gang, love the podcast, keep up the great work. I have a semi-serious question I want to bounce off of you. Since I've been caught by the Disney fever and get it, I have become sensitive to people who use Disney in a negative connotation, especially when using it to describe some event or location. For instance, I was reading a restaurant review, which was lambasting a local restaurant with faux ethnic decorations and referred to it as Disneyification. I feel that this is the same category of people of not getting it, but it is really starting to bug me. I sometimes want to write to these people and ask them if they ever have been to Walt Disney World. Do I just ignore it or send a copy to the Disney Legal and let them sue the author? Any thoughts?"
Nah. I mean, the criticism has been around for forever on that, so I don't think you can really do anything on it.
Yeah, I mean, it never bothers me when I hear it. I mean, it just doesn't even resonate with me. I don't even think about it, to tell you the truth. Does it bother any of you when you guys hear that?
Nah, I don't really care anymore. I mean, if it's particularly, usually it's somebody like that, it's like they're trying to be all highbrow, like, "Oh, Disney, poo-poo,
Yeah.
or occasionally they actually have a legitimate complaint where, you're trying to homogenize stuff. But still, I don't even, it doesn't even bother me.
I'm sure Disney is one of many targets for them.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
So.
Next email is from Teresa, who writes, "Hi guys. First and foremost, thank you for the podcast. Secondly, I'm traveling to Walt Disney World in early November with 17 other family members and will be staying off property. I have given thought to coordinating a Disney signature event, the Grand Finale Dessert, through the Leisure Group sales department, but I couldn't find any information on the website about whether this event must be part of a package that is booked requiring guests to stay on Walt Disney World property, or if it can be booked by any group of visitors. Do you have any insight on this topic?"
No, I don't. That's a good question, though.
I thought one of these
like
events
a grand
is
gathering kind of
that's
thing.
why I thought it was a grand gathering, and I thought with grand gatherings you have to have, I think at least 8 people staying on Disney property. You don't have to have the same exact dates. You just have to have 8 people staying on property and have a common denominator date between the 8 of you. You can also have people off property. That's fine. And then once you have that, then that opens you up to the grand gathering celebrations. That was my understanding of it.
Well, my suggestion would be I would contact the vacation planner who booked the trip. And if there wasn't a vacation planner who booked the trip, and if it was done direct, then I would call Disney Direct and get an idea. It's coming fast, so.
A good vacation planner would be useful there also, a good travel agent, something like that. It's not exactly like, booking Scope of Towers by any means.
Right.
Next email's from Bruce, who writes, "Hi guys, was just listening to the episode where you talked about Epcot in 1994. Do you guys remember the Splashtacular, I think it was called? It was a show by the Fountains. I never saw it, but I have some old inside out shows from 94 and 95 when they mentioned the show and some video of it. The big dinosaur used for the ending wound up over in the Magic Kingdom's Tomorrowland Terrace show called Galaxy Search. They made him look like Elvis."
Yes, I remember seeing him. Yep.
Join in, join the celebration.
Elvis showed up at the end of the show. It was in the Tomorrowland Theater. He showed up on the right-hand side. I remember sitting and watching. Actually, it was interesting. I have a side story for that. We're watching the show, and they had the Fab Five up there, and there was they were bringing little kids up on stage, and I can remember Minnie going down to the stairs, and a little girl was coming up the stairs, and Minnie shook her head at the little girl, and almost as if she was saying something, and the little girl kind of reacted like, yeah, Minnie, I want to do that, or whatever. And I often wondered if there was somebody who said something to her, and she thought it was Minnie. But I do remember seeing Elvis. It was sort of like an Erectus-set dinosaur made to look like Elvis.
It was on during Splashtacular. They popped out over where Illuminations was, and possibly one of the worst shows they've ever put on.
I agree. I couldn't make heads or tails of it.
I have it on video here. I used to play it on Mouse World. It's just god awful.
Is it really that bad?
Oh, it might be on YouTube somewhere. If not, let me know. I'll bring you a copy of it. It's awful.
It's so bad. Let me show you a copy of it.
It is. No, it's one of those things. It's like you ever see the Christmas Party from 1989? That is up there with the Star Wars holiday special.
Christmas special.
Oh my! It's one of the worst things that they've ever done, and it's just awful.
It's really a good bad example.
But it's something you have to watch once, just to say you've seen it. But it's ugh.
Next email's from Steve, I Hate Bongos Medina, who writes, Miguel, Leonardo, Mateo, y Miguelito. I have a question that I've been meaning to ask you guys for a while. As you know, we live down in South Florida, and we visit the world about 8 times a year, usually for 3-day, 2-night stints, usually January through May and September to December, although we've been known to take a last-minute trip during the summer peak season. We all have annual passes. That means I have 3 adult and 2 child passes. My question is for Len, Statboy, Testa. Am I wasting my money by having annual passes for everyone? Let me know what my best option is to save money while still having the freedom to go whenever I want, taking advantage of all the parks and discounts.
No, I think if you're doing 8 trips if you're going 8 times a year, no. I think you're absolutely fine. Because 8 trips. I mean, if they're per day, that's 8 days right there, and plus you get the park hopping benefit. And I know my boy Steve is going for more than 1 day at a time, so he's probably spending at least 12 to 16 days in Walt Disney World, and I think the break even is no more than 12 days out. So. Yeah,
come on, Medina. What is this, spam mail?
Steve goes a little bit without getting his name on air, and
he's gonna change his diet. He's eating too much Cuban food or something. I don't know.
What are you talking about?
Oh, here comes the comments in the show notes from Steve.
Oh yeah. Hey, he talks about seafood.
I just want to say, Mr. Medina, if you're listening to this, go Canes.
Next email is from.
It was a glorious weekend.
Next email is from Chris of Durham, North Carolina, who writes, "Hey, Matt, Mike, and Len, great podcast. Maybe too great. I had a dream last night that I was in a room full of small white boxes. They turned out to be episodes of Walt Disney World Today. The boxes were accumulating at a rapid pace, and I was plugging my headphones into each of them, listening to the episode, and then moving on to the next box. I had an overwhelming feeling, imminent doom, as I tried to listen to all of the episodes. The panic was intense, and when I woke up, it took me a minute to realize it was just a dream. So thanks for doing such a good job, even though it can induce nightmares."
That's classic. That's good. Yeah, I mean, it's funny now, because we're 300 some episodes in. We've got such a history. It's difficult for, I guess, people who now. If you came in, it'd be hard to listen to all 300 and some episodes, right? It'd be like 100 hours of audio.
It's only 3 Mangello episodes.
That's true. I mean, it's I mean, you could listen to a couple of loose shows, or you could invest that time wisely in our show.
Next email is from Clark, who writes, "Thanks for the energies in the multi-week magic machine. The results just keep getting better and better. Has anyone heard when ADRs are going to be available for Yak and Yeti? We've called a couple times in the past month, and Central Reservations doesn't have a clue."
I heard the opening's been pushed back to maybe January, and I don't know what the issue is, but I don't expect them to start taking reservations
till. So not going to be open for Christmas?
No, I heard not till maybe in December.
Wow.
This late January? Len, or early January?
I didn't say.
We get a shot at it maybe for the marathon? No?
I'm hoping. But again, nothing guaranteed.
Next email is from Mandy. I guess Newell, you should insert a Barry Manilow song at this point too in the background.
Came and you saved me.
Hello, I just listened to the podcast for Magic Meets and would like to know when should information for Magic Meets 2008 start to appear. My husband and I would like to head over next year. It sounded like a lot of fun.
Oh, it was a hoot.
Well, Magic Meets is, the date's been picked. It's July 19th, 2008, and further information I suspect will come out, probably after Mouse Fest. I seem to recall that's when information for 2007 came out. That's when Fred really kind of puts it into, the next gear and works on it a little bit harder. But that's, I guess, he's got to, get his guests and everything like that. And so as we get close, but I wouldn't expect any real further information until possibly the beginning of 2008. Do you guys know any different?
No. I think that's about right.
Probably December, January. I'll be looking for something. Yeah.
Next email is from Jeremy, who writes, Matt, Mike, and Len. First off, to assist in carbon dating the message, I just got done listening to your Magic Meets archives. Thank you. The next best thing to being there. A question and a piece of information for Scopa. My trips to Walt Disney World usually are built around a commando tour, and I'm helping a large group of friends plan a trip about 18 months down the road. Being a DVC member, accommodations are easy, and I can get help with the dining, transport, and all the other sorts of things. What I'm wondering about is what I should anticipate the biggest chances are when dealing with a group of first-timers or long enough of a gap from the last trip so they might as well be, and 3 young kids, and what can I do in the planning to try to cut back the exhaustion factor at the end of the trip? Midday naps for the kids, more relaxed touring plans? What would be the biggest difference?
Well, this is going to take some thought because it sounds as if you've got a couple of issues here. Number one, you've got a wide range of ages in this group, and you also have a wide range of experiences. So I think what you have to do is try to get everyone's opinion as to what they want to see, number one. And number two, and this is very important, I think that they need to put together several touring plans, one for the kids, one for maybe the kids and I don't know, and their parents or whatever, and one for which would be like a middle ground kind of an area where you've got people who have gone often, and then you've got people who have not been there in a while. One thing you don't want to do, Len, I'd like you to chime in on this. I don't think you should do everything as a whole group. I think that's a big issue.
Yeah, people end up waiting and they get bored and stuff like that. So, but we actually have multi-generational plans on the website. So, so that's always an option there. And what it does is it tries to keep everybody together for all of the attractions that everyone likes. So, like everyone likes Pooh and Peter Pan and the Magic Kingdom, for example. So everyone does that. But when it comes time to ride Space Mountain, for anyone who wants to do it, the small children go off and do something else in the same area, and then everyone gets together for all the meals. So, they're called the Happy Family Plans.
Happy family.
Quick message from Jeremy to Scopa. I live in your neck of the woods, Dover, New Hampshire, and thought you might like to know that Dr. Scopa's Miracle Elixir is available at Golik's Dairy Bar on Dover Point Road here. It's about 45 minutes to an hour away from Merrimack, so if you're desperate for the Dole Whip fix before the next trip, there's a sort of local source for you.
Thanks, Jeremy.
That's not bad.
Keep that in mind. Yep.
And we'll have time for one last email, and it's going to be coming from Ryan from Syracuse, New York, who writes, Hey guys, I just recently found your podcasts and love them. I just wanted to ask a few questions about the water fountains at the parks. I love Disney World to death, but last time I went 3 years ago, every water fountain I drank from tasted like someone stuck their cigarette butt in the water fountain. I was totally disgusted by the taste. I usually bring my own water bottles anyway, but I don't want to refill them with this. Has Disney ever done anything about it?
Good question.
You know what you could do, Ryan? A better suggestion is, bring your bottle of water, which I do, and then when you refill it later, bring with you those little single packets of lemonade or those things, the powder that you can put in your drinks, and that'll cover up the cigarette taste, and it'll make so good in your mouth.
Did they get so good? That was a little weird.
I think though you can find the water fountains that are outside seem to taste differently than the water fountains that are inside. Like if you go to Electric Umbrella around the corner, I think those are pretty good. And also where they have the character connection in Epcot.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a fountain in there. They seem to be fine. They seem to have a different taste than the ones outside. I don't know what it is, but indoor ones seem to be okay for me.
Oh, that's it for us today. Again, this episode of Walt Disney World Today has been sponsored by Mike Newell of Mouse World Radio. Mike has a lot of great radio stations and gives us lots of money to sponsor these shows. The show is formally sponsored by MEI and Mouse Fan Travel, specializing in cruises and vacation packages to Disney and other destinations around the world. MEI and Mouse Fan Travel is an authorized vacation planner and the recommended travel planner for allears.net. They provide their signature services with no additional agency fees. To get a no-obligation quote, just visit www.mousefantravel.com. If you want to find our older episodes, read our show notes, or send us your comments, visit the Walt Disney World Today website at www.wdwtoday.com. And for Len Testa, Mike Slippa, and Mike Newell, I'm Matt Hochberg. We'll see you on the next show.